Oh yeah. No doubt. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala rasulillahi amma ba'd. Before we move further with some of the questions, perhaps we'll mention just a few books here. Just a few, not too many. There are much more. Just a few books on Islamic finance, Islamic economics. A question last night. And we had guided the questioner. So it's first and foremost studying the Quran and studying the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to guidance on Islamic finance and Islamic economics. Khairan inshallah. So these are just a few books that we'll show you. Perhaps it says here an introduction to Islamic economics, economic doctrines of Islam, economic development and social peace in Islam, economic justice in Islam, Islamic banking and finance, economics and Islamic law. It says here Islamic law of business organization partnerships, and a very important book on inheritance in Islam, which is also from finance because it pertains to money and wealth and property. These are just a few books. There are many others, let alone if you actually read and study the ayat that talk about buying and selling, inheriting, giving gifts, the concept of wealth, partnership, the field of study called ayatul ahkam, verses that deal with the halal and the haram, let alone a hadith about buying and selling, which you can find a specific chapter in every major book of hadith. Bukhari, Muslim, Muwatta Malik, Sunan Arba, Mishkat Masabih, Bulugh al-Maram. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Father Abu Naida.
What does Islam say about, what is Islam's position on aliens and dinosaurs?
Question says, what is Islam's position on aliens and dinosaurs? Allah tells us in the Quran that He creates that which we don't know about. That your Lord creates that which you don't know of. In the 16th chapter, Surah An-Nahl. Allah says He creates وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ, and He makes that which you what? Know not. So do aliens exist? Allahu Alam. I have never seen them. If I did see an alien, only if he was in the form of a Allahu Alam. I don't know. Ma adri. Allah creates everything. Allah, khaliqu kulli shay, creator of all things. He created the heavens and the earth, and that which is what? Between them. And that which is what? Between them. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows. Did dinosaurs exist once in a time? Maybe, maybe not. I didn't see them. I don't know. I've heard about them. I read them in school. I've seen different things that look like skeletons in museums. Allahu ta'ala alam. Do aliens, extraterrestrial things, live on these other planets in these galaxies? Ma adri. What I know for sure as a Muslim is that Allah has told me that He created man, that He created jinn, He created Iblis, He created the malaika, and Allah also tells us, وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ, and when your Lord said to the angels, إِنِّي جَائِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً, He says, I will make in the earth what? Khalifa. A person or people that will be there and succeed. If you read the tafsir of that ayah, you'll find some very interesting points on the creation of these things. The angels, men, jinn, Allahu Alam. Read it yourself and you'll find some very interesting things. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. With regards to dinosaurs, you have to be very careful in affirming them and rejecting them, because dinosaurs are directly connected with another major issue, and that is the issue of what? Evolution. Man's origin. The universe and how it was made, how it was created. The sun, the moon, the comet, this, that, apes. Things like this. Very, 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 very deep concept. And this is in anything in science. When you accept one thing, you're often bound to do what? Accept 10 other things. It's all connected. And if you deem someone to be a great liar, a pathological kadhab, you lie about everything, you have to be very careful when you say that about someone, because now you accepted one theory, but you reject another theory. And the one person brought it to you was a what? That you consider to be a kadhab. Everybody understand this? American history. Who were the first people in America? Where did they come from? What did they look like? So on and so forth. You accept their theory on it, but then you reject something else. Or the exact opposite. You gotta be careful. You gotta be what? You gotta be careful. Everybody understand this? It was one person who wrote the what? The history book. Everybody understand this? Aliens, Native Americans, Atlantic Passage, Fulan, this, that. One company that wrote that history book. So be mindful of that. I don't know about dinosaurs and aliens. I don't reject them. I don't know. Ma adri. I do believe that Allah created everything, and there are things that Allah has made that we don't what? Necessarily know about. وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Allah says, in the knowledge that you've been given, oh man, just a little bit. Wallahu a'lam.
Can a Muslim be a patriot? And are we allowed to pledge allegiance to the flag? And how should a Muslim respond when asked to do so?
Question says, can a Muslim be a patriot? And are we allowed to pledge allegiance to the flag? And what should you do or say when someone asks you or requests you to do it? Very interesting question, which is a great issue of debate. And that is the Muslim being torn between two opposite contrast worlds. The world of Islam and the world of his or her country. In the past, these things didn't necessarily exist. The Muslims living as minorities in other than Islamic lands didn't exist how it exists today, in which there's so many Muslims living under the banners of non-Islam or non-Islamic countries and states. Unfortunately, that has a lot to do with the question or the answer, but there's no point in putting water under the bridge. What's the point is that we're here. You're in Canada, you're in Australia, you're in America, you're in South Africa, or whatever is considered to be everybody understand this? Whatever it is, what do you do? What are you pledging allegiance to? And what are you being a patriot for? For your basic rights of living and eating and drinking, for the respect of other human beings, or other than that? Are you willing to fight and stand up for other than that? Freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Everybody deserves, everybody's entitled. Questioning and challenging religion and deen and God and things like this. Is that what you have patriot? You're being a patriot for that? Are you willing to die for that? Are you willing to fight for that? What are you going to do in which it's your country against another Muslim or against Islam in itself? You're pledging allegiance to a flag which represents what? Tawheed, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. True equality, true freedom, true justice among men, or oppression and wrongdoing and tyranny, and the worship of shaitan, and the destruction of religion and the concept of God, directly or indirectly. Directly or what? Indirectly. We don't want to get too deep, too scary. Say Mufti's is conspiracy theorists. This and that and so on and so forth. Al-Muhim, ask yourself the question. What are you pledging allegiance to? What does the flag stand for? What does it represent? Obviously, that's very problematic because now a person is going to say, well, you live in America, you work, you have a nice big old house, you have 2-3 cars, you have all of the things that the other Americans have, but you're not willing to contribute. You're not willing to give anything back to society. You're a cherry picker. You want a parasitic what? Leech. You suck the blood of America, but you're not willing to give anything back. Someone may say this. Your sons won't ever fight in the military or in the Navy or the Air Force. But you enjoy the things that what? The other people fight and die for. And there's no doubt those who travel to other countries, they know the certain things that you have in America that you do not have in other countries. There's no doubt about that. No one can deny and reject that. Countries that are even better than America, certain things you just don't get in those countries. So how do you think you have the ability to walk down the street and drive your car and this and that and so on and so forth? Where does that come from? Except through the military. Except through the municipal system, the legal system, the judiciary system. Except for the concept of laws and religions. So it's all intertwined. So this is why it's such a sticky issue. Because you live as an American, you're not living in Saudi Arabia, you're not living in this Muslim country, you're not living in this Islamic country, you're living in America. There's certain rights and responsibilities that you must give to the country because you reap benefit from the country. So ask yourself the question, what are you pledging allegiance to? I am required to protect my environment, to look after my neighbors to the best of my ability, to uphold justice to the best of my ability, to fight oppression to the best of my ability, to abide by the rules of the country as long as they do not go against Islam to the best of my ability. But am I allowed as a Muslim to pledge my loyalty, my allegiance to kufr and shirk and mushrikeen and kafirin? You figure out the answer with regards to that. Wallahu ta'ala alam. If someone asked you to pledge allegiance to the flag and you felt uncomfortable, is it mandatory that you stand up? Is it mandatory that you pledge allegiance? Is that obligatory? Can you say, I don't feel comfortable? I don't want to right now. And I really, everybody understand this? So just because you're an American and you have rights and responsibilities towards your country to an extent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to get up and pledge allegiance to the flag. And this is one of the problems of playing professional sports. Now, I'm Jeremy. It's one of the problems. If you did stand up and you did pledge allegiance to the flag, does that make you a non-Muslim? Does it make you a kafir? Does that mean that you agree with everything in America? All of the history of America? It doesn't necessarily mean that as well. So this answer has to be found in the heart of the what? Of the one asking the question. As it states in the hadith, istafti qalbaka wa aftaka an-nasu wa aftauka. Seek the fatwa from your heart. No matter who tells you and what tells you this fatwa, halal and haram. Wallahu ta'ala alam. And very lastly, very important, is that no matter what your position is, make sure that you have enough bravery and courage to stand up for your position. And don't say something, and don't do something that you're not physically ready to uphold. It's nothing wrong with speaking your mind. That's the best person who speaks his mind, and not someone who's a coward or a hypocrite or two-faced. Speak your mind. Be upfront. But make sure that your body is ready to what? Bear the fruits of you what? Speaking your mind. As a leader said, I won't mention his name, a very famous leader, very powerful leader. He said, freedom before speech, I guarantee that. He says, freedom after speech, that I cannot guarantee. Wallahu alam.
Can a father be a wali for his daughter who is a practicing Muslim when he claims to be Muslim but the daughter has never witnessed him pray or go to the masjid?
Question says, can a father be the wali of a daughter who is a practicing Muslimah even though the Muslimah has never seen, she's never witnessed him making salah, going to the masjid, etc.? We say that this ruling in detail is going to come later on. The summarized answer is that there's several different issues in this one question. Who is the wali? That's number one. Number two, what is the ruling on a Muslim, quote unquote, who doesn't make 5 daily salah? Number three, what is the ruling on congregational prayer? Is it mandatory to go to the masjid or just recommended? Number four, what is the ruling on a fasiq being a wali? Someone that you consider to be a fasiq. You consider him to be a sinner. Can he be a guardian of a pious Muslimah? All of these issues are crucial in understanding the answer to the question. In general, we say in general, the father, bidhnillahi ta'ala, according to many of the ulama, should be the first wali. He should come first. Not all of the ulama say this. Some of them say the son. And some of them say other male family members. Very long discussion with regards to those who can and cannot be the what? The wali. We say in brief, to keep things simple, is that if the father is alive and if he's a Muslim, he should be the what? The wali. Unless it's something that clearly, strongly prevents him from doing so. That's number one. Number two, do you consider him to be a kafir? You never saw your father making salah. Or let's say the person is asking the question who's not the girl, someone else. In which most cases it is. A brother who wants to marry a girl and he should get rid of the wali. He's not praying anyway. Everybody understand this? He's a deviant anyway, so therefore, cut him out. Everybody understand this? Everybody understand this? Very important concept. Do you, as the girl, or the brother, or whoever, do you consider this person to be a kafir? If you consider him to be a kafir because he doesn't pray, or the girl never saw him pray, that's fine. Make sure you say that to him when you see him in the street though. When he says, Assalamu alaikum, you can marry my daughter, make sure you tell him what? Wa alaikum. Make sure you make it clear to him, I do not consider you to be a what? You are a murtad because your daughter never saw you pray. Or the girl, the daughter, she doesn't give salams to what? Can you uncover in front of your kafir father? Your father brings home meat, slaughtered meat. Can you eat it? Make sure that you're willing to practice all of the rulings of apostasy. And if you're not willing to practice those rulings, then you're hypocritical and you have a double standard. Everybody clear on this? And this is what we've explained in brief about not making salah. If you take the view, it's okay. If you hold the madhab that those people who do not pray are mushrikun, they're kafirun, that's fine. There are many of the ulama who said this. The Sahaba, that's fine. But make sure that you're willing to do what? Practice it all around the board. Practice it what? All around the board. And if you're not, then you're taking, picking, and choosing, which many, if not most people do. Is this not the case? You see someone he doesn't consider to be Muslim, he says what? Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How you doing? How's things with you, my daughter? Alhamdulillah. This man is not a Muslim to you. Now you're being hypocritical. Number 3, if he's still a Muslim, but you consider him to be a fasiq, can a fasiq be a wali? The correct view, and Allah knows best, is that it's permissible for a fasiq to be a wali, as long as he's qualified to uphold the duties and responsibilities of the guardianship. He could be a drunkard, he could be someone who shaves, he could be someone who does this, but he has jealousy for his daughter. He can spot a man and tell if he's a good man or a bad man. He's not the most pious Muslim, but he says, this guy is no good for you. He's no good for you. Trust me. I talked with him, he's what? He's no good for you. I know his background. I know the people who hang out with him. I did some investigations on him. I looked him in his eyes. I shook his hand. I smelt his clothes. I drove in his car. And I'm telling you that this guy is what? No good. And he finds another better Muslim for his daughter. Everybody understand this? And this is a reality. He may not have a beard, but he knows that I want my daughter to have someone who has a what? Full beard. He may drink alcohol, but he says, my alcoholism has nothing to do with you and your husband. You're going to marry someone who doesn't drink. And the guy that you brought me, he drinks on a DL. I saw the bottle. I know the people that he drinks with. He's hiding something from you, but I know. So it's nothing wrong with him being a fasiq and a wali as long as he can what? He can do his job properly. And there's some people who are righteous and religious and they can't do what? Can't do their job properly. They're naive. Naive. A brother comes with a big beard, a thobe, a sajda mark. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Anam, may Allah bless you. I want to marry your daughter. Oh, alhamdulillah, bismillah. And he marries off to his daughter. And he has problems, major issues, major problems. He may be someone who's totally fake. But he's so naive, so gullible. As soon as you see a beard, thobe, 3 pins, Medina, Kufi, oh, he's righteous and he's pious. Wallahi, this happens every day. So what's important is that he cannot be naive. Everybody understand this? And I don't think there's a man who has more jealousy for his daughter than the actual what? Father. Even if he has some rough edges. He may be a little ignorant. He may be sinful himself. But he has the most good intention for his what? For his own daughter. That's in brief. That's what? That's in brief. So just because you don't see the person making a salah, or you don't see them going to the masjid, doesn't necessarily mean they don't pray. It doesn't necessarily mean that they believe it's mandatory to go to the masjid. What do most of the ulama say about salat al-jama'ah? Everyone understand this? So there's many different things in this one question. What's important is, if you feel this way about your father, or if there's a brother who feels this way about the girl's father, advise them, talk to him, sit down with them, have a talk with them. Don't rush to throw somebody out. You should rush to bring them closer. Have a talk with them. He may love you. He may respect you because you gave him nasiha. You didn't bootlick. You didn't kiss up to marry his young, beautiful daughter. Sheikh, you may not agree with me. You may not want me back in your house. But I have to tell you this to your face, Sheikh. I have to. Wallahi, that may touch his heart. And he may say, go ahead and marry my daughter. He's a real guy. He's not afraid. He's not scared. Everybody understand this? So it has to be detailed. Wallahu a'lam. Make sense, Sheikh? Abu Sharif?
Very much.
Wallahu a'lam.
What's the ruling on baby dolls for children? Can they have baby dolls with faces? The dolls are for them to learn how to nurture and be kind.
Question says, what are the rulings on baby dolls for children? A very important question. Very pertinent question. And that is because baby dolls pertain to an issue of taswir. The Prophet ﷺ cursed those who make surahs. And he said they will have the worst punishment on the Day of Judgment. And they'll be put in charge of giving life to that which they created. And they can't make creation. So tasweer is a major sin in al-Islam. Tasweer is from the kaba'ir. And there's so many hadiths in Bukhari and Muslim that prove that it is a major sin. The Prophet cursed them. أَشَدُّ النَّاسِ عَذَابًا يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الْمُصَوِّرُونَ. Those who have the worst punishment on the day of judgment are those who make images. The hellfire being entrusted to those who make what? Images. Sculpting, painting, whatever the case may be. So it's not a small joking issue. It's very serious. And there are some people who may say and believe that a doll baby or an action figure or a figurine is a surah. It's a surah. It's a small idol. And if it isn't an idol, it's definitely something that has eyes, a head, legs, a neck. It's made into a human body, a living being. And it's a surah. So therefore, is it permissible for little girls or little boys to play with these toys that are what? Quote unquote, surah. Very dangerous issue. Everybody clear on this? So it's very serious. Everybody understand this? In general, the people of knowledge, they say that if the doll has arms and legs and a head, in general, there's nothing wrong with it for young children. In general. As far as the dolls that have faces and eyes and detailed, intricate, display of their, the faces and the hair and everything, then they say that is not permissible in al-Islam. As far as that which is simple and basic for a child, then they say la ba's. They make tarkhis. And they base this off of several proofs and several evidences. From them is the narration of Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha, Sahih Bukhari. From them is the general concept, inna al-mashaqqata tajlibu taysir. Difficulty necessitates ease and facilitation. It's difficult for a child not to have anything to play with. Let alone a baby girl. She carries around the doll baby. She learns how to carry it, how to give it milk, how to comb his hair, how to wash his hair. She's in the nature of womanhood from a young age. Everybody understand this? But does that mean the detailed figures that the people have today, which look just like your face, and the eyes open and close, that may be a what? Different issue. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Is it permissible to nurse your child past 2 years?
Question says, is it permissible to nurse the child past 2 years? The right of the child is for 2 years. As Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah. 2 complete years. لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَن يُتِمَّ الرَّضَاعَةَ. طيب, to complete the state of rada'ah, of the breastfeeding, 2 years. That's the haqq of the child. Abu Umama radiallahu anhu, he narrated in the Mustadrak of Al-Hakim that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he saw women being hung, women being tortured with their bodies. And when he asked, who are these women? He said, these women are those who prevent their children from their milk. They don't feed their children, don't give their children their rights. Everybody understand this? So therefore, the haqq of the child is 2 years. That's the haqq of the child. Anything after that is not necessarily mandatory. It's not necessarily what? Mandatory. And if a person continues to suckle the child after 2, then it's not necessarily also haram. It's not necessarily what? Haram. However, there are different rulings that do not come into play after 2 years. There are certain rulings that only take effect what? Within 2 year period. And that is the concept of suckling. A woman sucks a boy and a girl. Everybody understand this? She gives suckle to a boy and a girl. She gave suckle to the boy within 2 year period. And it was at least 5 times. Everybody understand this? That was the what? The boy. Then she suckled a girl. And the girl was 27 months old. 28 months old. Everybody understand this? 2.5 years old. They are not necessarily brothers and sisters in what? Suckling. Because it was after the what? 2 year period. Everybody understand this? So when you suckle a child, when you give a child breast milk, you have to be mindful of the time period. You can't marry this one. It doesn't necessarily apply to that. Because it's not mandatory or necessarily haram to do what? After the 2 year period. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
can someone pray if they took some heavy medication such as Tylenol 3?
I don't know Tylenol 3. I never heard of that. However, it depends on how heavy the medication is. If you still have your senses, you still have your faculty, you can think to an extent, you know what's going on in front of you. Even if you're a little woozy, a little floating foot, as they say. Inshallah, yani, you still make the salah. You still what? You still make salah. As long as you have the what, Jeremy? As long as you still have your what? Your aql. And that in itself is yani relative, having your aql, having your senses. You can wake up from sleep and still be a little tired. That doesn't mean that you don't know what's going on. You may be a little off. Someone may ask you a question. You walk into the masjid. Sheikh, I need to take your car somewhere. You say, oh, inshallah. Give him the keys. You make salah. Then after says, well, my car. You see what I'm saying to you? It's possible. Sheikh, Allahu Alam. Everybody understand this? But that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have your what? Your aql, your mind. But you may not be 100% there. But you know, in general, this is salat al-fajr that I'm making. This is what? Fajr. The moment you cannot distinguish between fajr and dhuhr. The moment you can't distinguish between a pigeon and a chicken, something may be wrong. Tylenol 3, Allahu Alam.
How do you calculate midnight so you know when the time for Isha is?
You calculate midnight by Salat al-Maghrib, by the setting of the sun. The setting of the sun to the time of the true Fajr, you what? You split that in half. And that is your Nisful Layl. Regardless of the ruling, is it permissible to make Salat al-Isha after or not? That's an issue of discussion among the ulama. What's important, the question is how, and that is how. The nighttime, the setting of the sun to the coming of Fajr. Not necessarily the prayer, but the actual sun setting and rising. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Person asks, I want to know the manhaj of Hizbut Tahrir.
Tahrir. Next question.
In the hadith, when the Prophet told the Sahabi, help by offering a lot of
Al-Muhim, we'll stop here tonight. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Jazakumullahu khairan. Anything that's not answered tonight, by Allah's permission, we will answer it whenever we have the ability to do so. Wallahu alam. Jazakumullahu khairan. Yes. What you can do, Sheikh, is Nafis can give you the website. And you can send an email. Private, discreet, yes. Anybody else can send the questions as well. These people are online on the YouTube channel. You gotta subscribe. Hadith Disciple. Inshallah. I brought a thing.